Good afternoon once again, everyone. Good afternoon. Yeah, we are here again today to look into the issue we have been talking about all this while concerning how we can together as a people, as a community, as a group, as a nation, deal with the issues of drug abuse and dependency in our community. We all know that this issue about drug abuse and dependency have been a major issue currently. It's a topical issue. It's a topical issue. It's a topical issue that's affecting almost everyone, the old, the young, the rich, the poor. The issue about drug abuse and trafficking is so serious that, as I said in my earlier clip, that all hands need to be on deck. And how can all be on deck when we don't have knowledge about what this is all about? He said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." So one of our essence of these live streams that we are doing on a weekly basis is to educate the populace. As we said, in addition to what the government is doing, in addition to what the NDLEA, that is the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, are doing, what do we do, or what are we doing on the individual level? What are we doing on the community level? That is where this whole thing is heading towards. We want to create this awareness so that this message should get to every home, should get to every child, because we have to protect the next generation. That's the essence of this. We need to protect the next generation from the harmful effects of drug abuse and dependency, drug abuse and trafficking. So that's what we have today. So we are going direct to look into this book we have, which we introduced last week. We call it the Overcoming the Drug Scourge. This is our major guide, Mekongo one, Overcoming the Drug Scourge, effective ways of ending drug abuse and dependency. So it is our belief that at the end of all this section, as these things go on, every single person will have at least acquired or gained one thing that he or she will imbibe and also cascade this message down. As we say, one of our purpose, one of our goal is to raise the next generation of vanguards that will take this message onwards. The next generation of vanguards that will take this message to their own generation. That's our plan. Raising men and women, young boys and girls that will cascade this message of drug abuse and trafficking, what we can do as a people to overcome it. So we'll be going direct to our work today. We'll be looking at initial chapters. We talked about the content of understanding drugs and drug abuse and trafficking and other things in this content. But we'll be looking at the introduction, why I wrote this book. As I said earlier on, I'm a retired drug personnel who served with the agency, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, for 24 good years. And we embarked on a lot of drug control activities all these years across the country. Let me I will still give you a rundown of my profile. I served in the northwest, Kebbi State, Sokoto State, came down to the south, River State, Bayelsa, Delta, Cross River. I got to Lagos, got to Ogun, went back to Kaduna, Zaria, and I came down to the east. A whole lot before going back to River State once again. And then finally I came to FCT, where we are reaching you currently. I came there and I served for 3 years as the departmental security officer who oversaw the entire security facility, including persons who are under rehabilitation for drug use. That exposed me to these problems. I saw young boys and girls, talents being destroyed. People who have capacity to move Nigeria to the next level being destroyed by this harmful substance. So that stirred up something in me while within the agency. Now, what is it are we doing wrong, or what are we not getting right? I have to admit, the NDLEA has done a lot and is still doing a lot. The young boys and girls in that agency have paid a whole lot of price to tackle this menace. But that notwithstanding, there are still some missing gap, which we are trying to cover with this book. So I say somewhere by way of introduction to this book, I said, in a bid to make our drug abuse control measures more effective, we have identified several issues that should be addressed in order to mitigate the unending slide into drug culture in our society. The drug culture is a kind of way of life. What we can see now is like the use and abuse of hard drugs have become a norm in our society. It has become a norm. It's become a norm. The use of drug culture become a norm. Almost anywhere you go to, you can see people now. Formerly, it was a kind of a taboo to hear. I can remember growing up as a child. They call it this substance they call, it's cannabis sativa, marijuana, which they call goof in those days. Those who take goof in those days were regarded by the society as an outcast. It's a taboo to hear that someone is taking goof in your house. But today, unfortunately, the story is no longer the same. Especially those in entertainment industries, I will not fail to mention it, have glamorized the use of substance of abuse. It has appeared to be a norm that if you are not doing it, you don't know, you don't belong to. No, it's not a norm. It's what I call an aberration. It's an aberration to establish norms, the values that govern our societies. We are Africans. It's against the norms and values of African traditional society. We believe in core values. We believe in humanity. We believe in hard work. We believe in integrity. These are the things that are lacking today. So when you see this thing being glamorized, it's against our values, Africans. But having said that, that drug culture is what we want to address, so that beginning from now, the next generation will come to terms to know that some of these practices, which by one way or the other have appeared to be a norm, is not a norm. So we said, my involvement in counter-narcotic activities over the years have exposed me to a number of these issues, and hence the following questions we are asked. How knowledgeable are people about drugs? Yes. Why do we have many drugs in circulation? Why do we have an increasing number of drug users? Why do people persistently use and abuse drugs? How effective is our drug demand reduction measures? How aggressive is our drug abuse awareness campaign? We need to. The awareness campaign must be carried out. People get to know this message should go beyond the four walls of governmental institutions to the masses, to the children, to the schools, to churches, to mosques. Wherever human being exists, this message should get to them. And we have to be aggressive. We have to be aggressive about it. Then how can we prevent more people from experimenting with drugs? So these are the kind of questions that bothered me all this while. Then something happened. You see, the question bothered me, and we have been engrossed in the task of finding out the missing link in our drug abuse control measures. After serious thought, we arrive at the following: that the knowledge of drugs and drug abuse among the populace is a bit poor. That the increased involvement in trafficking has led to an increase in the availability of these drugs in our society. Increased involvement in trafficking. The more people are getting involved into drug trafficking, the more these drugs are being made available in our communities. That's one thing we found out. Moreover, today, a number of these drugs are being produced locally. Formerly, only few, if not cannabis, were being produced, that is marijuana, in the country. But now, things like meth is being produced locally. And when they cannot move it out due to the strict enforcement measure by the NDLEA, they alternatively tend to dispense it within the community. That's one thing we found out. And then, increased availability has made access to these drugs easier. As I said earlier, the more it is available, the more persons are having access to it. The more it's available, the more people are being exposed to it. Vulnerable persons are being exposed to it, being enticed, being lured by one or the other into these drugs. These are the challenges we found out. Then, as a result, many more people are prone to abusing drugs. And that has led to the persistent drug problem in society. Simple. More people are abusing it. More people are being exposed, being made vulnerable. Some being coerced, being compelled. That is the persistent drug problem which we are out to solve. Okay. In addition, more emphasis and resources have been devoted to drug supply reduction. Yes, as I said, I acknowledge the role the NDLEA is playing in combating drug trafficking. More resources are allocated to drug supply reduction than drug demand reduction. So I think we need to re-emphasize or reallocate some of these funds to drug demand reduction. Yes, the fight against drug trafficking, drug supply reduction must go on. We need to curb supplies. We need to interdict. They need to investigate. But then demand reduction should have an upper hand. In addition, there has therefore been an astronomical rise rather than descent in the number of drug abusers in our society. More persons are regrettably indulging in drugs. You go to our motor parks, they have become places where drugs are openly used and abused with a resultant increase in road mishap and accidents. Our institutions of higher learning now are synonymous with the drug culture, with a resultant increase in the rate of school dropouts, ill-trained graduates, and rampant cult activities everywhere on a daily basis. Is one cult against the other. These things are being conducted under the influence of hard drugs, our institution of higher learning. The abuse of drugs now seems to be a societal heritage. No, I said it earlier, it's not a norm. It's a misnomer. It's an aberration. It's not our societal heritage. It's not African heritage. The overall impact of this to national security is visible in the upsurge in violent crime such as 21st century terrorism, militancy, kidnappings, banditry, cultism, robbery, and etc. The fact is this: if this is not tackled, the question of national security will be a hard close, a far cry to call, be too close to call, because the drug scourge is a direct attack on the security of a nation, on the security of the people, on the well-being of the individual, health issues, social issues, psychological issues. Then what else? Just like the economic terms, we hear about laissez-faire. What we have seen is that drug sales and abuse is now a laissez-faire in our communities, and the consequences are high for anyone to contend. Health traumas, STDs, terminal illnesses, unproductive workforce, among other major consequences. These are threats to national security. So what are we saying in a nutshell? In a twist to this precarious situation, unfortunately, some persons in authority at a time call for legalization of these substances. No, we should not campaign for that. The harmful effect of these substances is much more than anything you can derive from it. Voices must come up to say no to legalization. When more voices need to come up as well to look at these issues, how can we deal with these issues so that our society, our people, individuals should be free from the effect of these drugs as a people. And also, in line with the above, we have therefore written this book to ensure that this message gets to the people. What is it you are talking about? As I said in my last clip, understanding drugs. factors responsible for drug abuse, warning signs of impending drug problem, classes of drugs in the society, unavoidable consequences of drug abuse, and effective ways of ending the scourge have been explored in this book. It's our belief that whoever read this book will not only have equipped yourself with the tool to prevent drug abuse, but much more than that, it will be among the next generation of vanguard to advance the quest to clear our society of the menace of drugs and trafficking. That's why I'm here today. This is an issue. This is an issue. That say we're here to provide you guidance on how to ensure that these issues are tackled and eliminated. So if we go now to our next slide, where we look at the next topic in question, which has to do with understanding drugs. Understanding drugs. Just wait. In next 2 minutes, we'll be live once again. So you can look at this particular chapter to ensure that things are brought down to the level whereby every person who is listening to us will know the menace this imposes to us as individuals and our communities, and do whatever thing we can do to ensure we put an end to this menace so that people can live a good life. People, our boys, our girls can live a good life. The society can be revived. We can rebuild our society. We can entrench those values that are missing. Values should be entrenched in our community. So when we talk about sustainable development, talk about economic empowerment, talk about transforming our society, transforming our world, the country we need all hands will on deck to deal with this trend. See you soon. Thank you.